All right. Okay, good morning, everybody. How was everybody's week? Was it a game of life? Did you spin the spinner of life? Was it something that just kind of haphazardly happened? And well, I landed on boom, you get a car. Did you know that? Lord bless me, but that was a purpose. I think there was a purpose of that, and it was a blessing of the Lord. So it wasn't just something that happened by mistake. It was something that the Lord blessed in. So we had last week we were going through our lesson, and we had talked about how some people look at the game as just life as kind of like a game, but it's not really a game. There's a purpose behind everything. And we talked about men or women in the Bible that God put them on this earth for a purpose. He posed the question, what is your purpose? Why are you on this earth? And we talked about some things. We had made a pretty good list of people that we had turned out with. One thing I forgot to do is the title of our book is Life Quest. When we think about life quest, well, what is life, right? Well, life is kind of what goes on here in our existence, I guess, in our course of action. But what is a quest?
A journey.
Journey, yeah. Okay. What kind of journey is it, though?
Journey with a purpose.
Journey with a lot of times when you think of a quest, it's adventure, yeah. We got, I don't know, whoever watched cartoons, Johnny Quest. I never got into Johnny Quest. Did anybody watch Johnny Quest? But they were always doing something. They were what? They were searching for something. And you think a quest is when you're seeking or pursuing something, or to search for something. And what is life's quest? What are you searching for? What is your purpose? And these are just all things that we're talking about. We talked about this culture. We talked about the culture coma this world's in, and how people get to a certain age, and even old people they don't want to grow up. They don't want to have responsibility. They just want to have the easy street. And well, we kind of were talking about some of these things. Last week, I think when we left last week, I kind of had a little assignment here, and I was encouraging y'all to go home and find and think about. God gives us a promise that if we reject the culture coma and choose the journey of life with Him as our refuge, we think of life doesn't just happen. We have a Creator. We have a God that He is our refuge. And I'd encourage y'all to go home and find a verse that had something to do with God is our refuge. So I'm kind of curious what all anybody found. So who wants to go first? Who wants to break the ice? Anybody? Or do I call on someone? Oh boy, I might put somebody on the spot. So anyway. I'm sorry, go ahead. What?
Go ahead. Psalm 61, the whole chapter is talking about how God's a shelter, I think.
A shelter, yeah. When we think of what I have written down here, what is the definition of a refuge? What is them? Before we go and do some of these verses, we think about God as our refuge. What is a refuge exactly?
Place
Place of safety, a place of protection, a place of security. We think about we have the Great Lakes all around us here, and I don't know. We think about Lake Michigan. It can get kind of stirred up if a windstorm comes up, and even the big freighters, they come into little harbors and they come into little spots, and they're seeking a refuge, a place of safety, so they don't get tossed about. And we think about God as our refuge. When we go through this life, we don't go through it on our own, and we can look to God as our refuge. Okay, so all right, let's go. How about? I don't know if there's a verse in there you can pick out, or the whole
it's kind of
thing
like
is
the
great.
verse 3, I think.
All right.
Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer. From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For thou hast been a shelter for me and a strong tower from the enemy.
All right. So Psalm 61, we'll put 1 through 3. Yes, I mean, he's a shelter. He's a strong tower. Okay. So how about some other ones?
Jeremiah 16:19.
All right. What do we got? Jeremiah 16:19. What does it say?
Almost there. All right. O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things, wherein there is no profit.
All right. So we definitely see a place of refuge, and we don't see the word refuge here, but what's the word we see that that has security and protection?
Fortress.
Fortress.
It
Oh,
does
yeah.
say my refuge.
Well, I'm sorry. Along with refuge, we'll say. What's another word there that has the thought of security and safety, and that was fortress. What is a fortress?
A stronghold to protect.
A stronghold, yeah. A stronghold, a place of protection. It's a place of strength. If you had back in the days of battle and everything else, they had a fortress. That's where they all were. That's where they had safety. It was protection. A place of safety. All right. So we got that one. How about some other ones?
Psalms 9 through 10.
Psalms. This is kind of great because I didn't even have it. I have like 6 or 8 of them, but I don't have a single one that you guys got yet. So what was it again?
Psalms 9 through 10.
9 through 10. Good job, Psalms. Psalms 9 through 10. Go ahead, Daniel.
The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee.
All right, good. All right, so we see here the Lord is a refuge. And I'm trying to think here, what do I got here? If for the oppressed and the refuge in the times of trouble. And we see here, is not forsaken them that seek him. And what do we talk about here of being a quest, life quest? Seeking and pursuing something here. But we see here definitely, good verse. All right, another one?
Deuteronomy 33:27.
Hey, I have that one. I do have that one. Good job. Awesome. You want to read it for us, please?
The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, destroy them.
All right. Okay. How about another one? Jerry.
I'm not sure exactly where it's found. It's probably one of the Psalms, I'm sure, but he hideth my soul in the clutch.
Yes, I have that one. I'm not sure which one it is, but I do have that. That is a good one. I should have put that. I should have put a note down. But yes, there. Yeah, that is a good one. Soul in the cleft of the rock. And you think about a rock. We talked about the sand, and we talked about a rock. And John was talking about a foundation. And a foundation is typically made out of something that's solid. That's going to stay. Trying to think here. Okay. Anybody?
Psalm 91.
Psalms.
Sorry, Barb.
No, go ahead, I like it. Trust me, I like it.
I have Psalms 91. I have written down here. I got 91. I got 1 through 6.
Yep.
So I don't know if anybody would like to read those. Go ahead. All right. Would you like to read that? Go ahead.
Sure. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday.
All right. So let's go ahead, and along with that, we can go ahead and read 7 through, we can read 7 through 9, really. You want to read that, or you want me to? Go ahead.
1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation.
All right. So we think about it, and we think about that little snake, and we think about our lives, and we think about as we go along, and it has the thought here of, people that just want to be young, people that don't want to grow up. You can get yourself in trouble, and you can have difficulties. And what happens when you fall down? If you don't have, what happens if you fall down and skin up your knee? You cry. You sure do. And a lot of times you maybe get some kind of, you get a bump or you get a bruise, and you get your skin tore up. And when you get a skin tore up, what happens sometimes when you get your skin tore up? It'll heal, but what happens? You get a scar. Yeah, you get a scar. We think about if we don't have the right leadership, and if we don't have the right guidance and the right motivations and the right, we can end up getting ourselves in trouble for the future of our lives. Not that we can't get through it, but there'll be scars, and there could be some bumps along the road. But we don't have to destroy your future before it begins. We can take an entirely different route, an entirely different course into adulthood or maturity, and it can be one of blessings, one of confidence. Think of this as a life, future of blessings, confidence. What is confidence? What is confidence?
Insurance.
Yeah, assurance. Have your, I have to look at I got my definition here. Confidence. All right, confidence. A belief or a conviction that the outcome will be favorable. You think about our lives, and if you're trusting in the Lord, and if the Lord is your rock, and the Lord is your refuge, you can live a life serving Him with blessings and confidence. Commitment. That's something when you think about growing up, not a lot of commitment. You know, when you grow up and mature, there's commitment. What is commitment? Commitment to silence. No one says anything.
Something you dedicate yourself to.
Okay? Something, and you dedicate yourself to. Very good. It's a pledge. It's an obligation. If you dedicate yourself to something, you make an obligation. Let me see here. And you make an obligation to follow a certain course of action. You think about God's Word. You think about God being a refuge. There's some directions that He gives us. There's some instruction that He gives us that we must follow and stay in the realm. All right, so and as we go through this time of blessing, confidence, commitment, and integrity. Ooh, what is integrity? We talked about that. What is integrity?
Being trustworthy, being morally right.
All right. Uncompromising adherence to moral and ethical principles. Soundness of morals and character. And when we think about, a lot of times, you think of integrity, you think of honesty. Think of honesty. And if you follow like this, your life quest can be with no regrets. So as we go on and we continue in our study here, we're going to have where there's a few sections. One is going to help us to understand and to grow the principles that we study. And then as we go through these, we'll want to just kind of take time and just kind of really think about these things. The kind of, you think about, you make tea. When you make tea, what do you do with the tea bag? Yeah, you kind of take your time at it, you think about it, you kind of, I don't drink a lot of tea, but kind of look at it, you kind of keep dipping it, kind of thinking about it. Oh, is that dark enough yet? I don't know. Okay. I have coffee, so it's not dark, it's light, right? Sarah's not here to harass me, but I put a lot of creamer in my coffee. so she'd ask me about that. But when you have tea, you know, you kind of take some time and it seeps out and it makes you a good cup of tea. So we got to think about some of these things we're going to talk about and think about them and let them kind of penetrate our minds and apply them to our lives. And let that sink deep into our hearts. And then another part we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about why in this culture that we live in, that people are postponing to grow up and to be responsible, and they're postponing as long as possible. And then another thing, we're going to look at some of the setbacks or some of the things that you'll miss out on if you buy into the culture coma of this world and just kind of let things slip and slide by. That's another game. I never had one of those when I was a kid. I wanted to slip and slide, but I never got one. But you got the game of life and you got a slip and slide. We don't want to be on a slip and slide. We want to be sure footing. We want to be on sure ground, walking with the Lord. Walking and having protection in that fortress. And then we're going to look at some reasons why living a life that's a quest serving the Lord, a life quest serving the Lord, is worth pursuing. And not only pursuing, but worth pursuing passionately. You do something passionately. What do you do? It's passionately.
Wholeheartedly.
Pardon me?
With all your heart.
With all your heart. Yeah, you do it. With all you're able to. All right. And then we're going to have, as we go through this study, we're going to be talking about now, how do you get there? I mean, we talk about the path of life, but how do you get from A to B? How do you get there? Well, we're going to talk about some principles and character traits that can help us and sustain us through our life quest and give us strength for the best life that we can have in serving the Lord. Let me see here. And also, and hopefully by the time we finish going through our study, we're going to have a different outlook on the perspective of life than some of the generations around us have. All right? And then actually, then we're going to kind of go on here a little bit, and we think about this is, we'll go back to our little snake again, and we think about our little snake. What was he doing? He was cruising across the parking lot, thinking all was fine, everything's good. And then what happened? Oh yeah, he hit that hot pavement. He bolted across the first 50 feet, whatever it was. I didn't go back and look, and then as he got deeper into trouble, the pavement got hotter. He got into more trouble, and first thing you know, he was cooked. Right? He was done. He was burned up. Well, we get in trouble if we get going through this world, and Satan sets us aside, and we get ourselves in trouble before we even know it. But as we have the thought here is, well, that little snake was cruising across the parking lot, watching him die. The author has a thought here. Wonder what was going through his mind as he cooked his little body gradually, refusing to move forward. When we think about our lives, we're in the life to move forward, continually serving the Lord, and not moving backwards. But maybe he was thinking, oops, or maybe he was thinking, oh, I'm toast now, right? Or, well, we don't know. And we think about the eyes of the author when he was watching that little snake cruise across. There's some things that could have happened. What could he have done? If he had some mercy on that snake, you know.
Could have picked it up and moved it.
Yeah, he could have picked it up, put it in a little tender grass, a little wet grass, he could have been okay. But anyway, if you're not a snake guy, and I'm not a snake guy, I probably wouldn't have picked him up either. I probably would have enjoyed watching him, fry there. But anyway, we think about it, but could have helped him get to the other side, picked him up, put him on the riverbank side there where it was nice and cool and on the grass. But it's not what he did. Now we think about our God. We think about God. How does he look at us? How does he look at us through his eyes when we're getting ourselves in trouble? It's a good thing he look at us and say, oh, I'm going to watch him get himself in trouble and just fall apart and be the end of him, right? What about our God? What does he do?
Picks us up.
He picks us up. He's a God of mercy, isn't he? Thankfully, we're not, to the eyes of God, we're not like that little snake that just wanting to watch us die. God has no pleasure. He has no gain watching people cook themselves, like that little snake on the pavement. When we think about adults and young adults, as we go on through life. He'd much rather be with us in our journey, assist us in our journey, and than to watch you fail. But how do we get there? Well, we have to follow some instruction, don't we? We'll have to choose to move forward in a culture that's moving backwards, and a culture that's settling for less. And is that going to be easy? Is that going to be easy? Won't be easy probably, right? Are you going to get ridiculed for it? Are you going to get made fun of or mocked? Are you going to get looked down upon by some? Yeah, it's possible, right? But it'll be worth it in the end. I got some thoughts here. We have a merciful God. We have a God of mercy. We'll look at a few verses there, and then we're going to move on. All right. All right, I'm close. Here we go. All right, we have a God of mercy. We have let's go look at Psalms 103:17. What's the psalmist say here about our Lord and our God? I don't know. Where do we leave off? Who's up? Was it Liz? Jan, you read this.
I read a couple times.
Liz.
So.
Yeah, you read a couple times. So look at that sunshine. Nope, don't look back. You should keep looking more. Sun's peeking out. All right, what do we got, Melissa? Psalms. We have the thought here. We have a merciful God, merciful Lord. What do we have?
What was the chapter?
Oh,
I got the verse, I just don't remember.
Psalms 103:17.
But the mercy of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting upon them that fear him, and his righteousness unto children's children.
Now we see here's mercies from everlasting to everlasting. Does that mean we just keep doing the same thing over and over again and thinking, oh, it's okay? That's not what we're seeing here. But he is merciful to those that are trying to serve him, to follow him. We'll trip and fall, but he is eternal mercy. Boundless. What is boundless mercy? Any thoughts of boundless? What is boundless mercy?
Abundant.
Abundant. Yeah, it's abundant. He's got, let's look at Psalms 108, verse 4.
For thy mercy is great above the heavens, and thy truth reacheth unto the clouds.
All right, boundless. He's a merciful God. He's lots of mercy to those that desire to serve him and seek to serve him. Now here's the verse that goes with that little snake. Think about prolonged life. Huh? let's look at Lamentations 3:22. Here's where that little mercy comes in for that snake. If that guy would have picked him up, or if he would pick him up and put him in the riverbank. But what do we see here?
It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not.
All right. Now, thankfully, as we go through our lives and as we have encounters with failure, thankfully we have a merciful God that forgives sins. Okay, let me see here. Is it Micah? I think it's Micah 7:18. Micah 7:18. Where are we at? Are you able to read that, Daryl? Micah 7:18. is kind of towards the end of the Old Testament there. And as when Daryl gets there and starts reading about it, we're going to see a God that he's merciful, pardons iniquities. Thankfully, he doesn't remain angry.
7:1.
7:18.
Who is the God like unto thee that runneth equality and happeth by transgression of the remnant of the heritage? He retaineth not his anger forever, because he delighteth in mercy.
All right, so we think about a merciful God. We think about God's mercies. We think about the thought here where it says that pardoneth iniquity. Oh, anybody here ever been to court? Do you want to? Oh yeah. Do you want to hear guilty? Boom. Here's your sentence, or do you want to hear pardoned? Huh? Yeah, definitely want to hear pardon, don't you? We think about a merciful God that we have that pardons us from our iniquity. What is iniquity?
Sins.
Yeah, sins, simply sins. Pardon us if we are faithful, if we confess our sins, He's faithful and just to forgive us. And then one other thought, and through the mercies of God, we have the blessings of salvation. Salvation is possible through the mercies of God. Titus 3:5. We turn to Titus 3:5.
Titus 3:5. Not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to his mercy he saved us by the washing of regeneration and renewing of the Holy Ghost.
All right. All right. So thankfully we have we're not as this person looking down on a snake in the parking lot frying himself, but we have a God that looks down at us. He's merciful, and he desires to see us succeed in following his instructions and serving him, moving forward in a culture that's moving backwards. And again, it's not easy, but it's definitely going to be worth it. So we think about this, and as we get ready to close, we think about it. As we think about the safety of the riverbank, the old snake, he was safe on the riverbank. And he started cruising across the park lot, got himself in trouble. How are we going to do this? But is it a little scary? Probably going to be a little scary. Life can be scary. Is it uncertain? It's certainly uncertain through our eyes, right? But in God's eyes, there's certainty. Through God's eyes, no. There's no uncertainty there. No difficulty at all. But difficult, yes, it could be difficult, but you know what? It can be difficult, but we can handle anything with God's help. I got a couple verses here. How about 1 Corinthians 10:13? Probably all familiar with that verse, but 1 Corinthians 10:13. Things are going to happen in this life. When things and trials and temptations come up, do we say, I want to be for again and just be, or do we want to grow up and serve the Lord and move forward and seek and serve the Lord? And what do we have here? Is there going to be difficult times? Yes. But we can handle it with God's help. Anybody? Where are we at? Barb, did you read already? Okay, Sister Jen, I'm sorry.
There is no temptation taking you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it.
All right, we see God's our fortress, God's our refuge, He's also our helper. Then also I have 2 Peter 2:9. Brother Dan, will you read that for us, please? Thought here being difficult, but we can handle it with God's help.
The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished.
All right, so then we see here, now we think about things we go through, they're going to be uncomfortable. Yes, there's going to be things we're going to go through that are uncomfortable. Anybody here ever had a root canal? What is something that may be uncomfortable to people?
Childbirth.
Oh, there you go, child. That's probably, I can't say, but I'll take your word for it. I'm sure it's uncomfortable. So, but we think about it, but like I say, God, through God, all things, God gives me strength. My brain went fried, but, do all things through Christ's strength. So, all right. How about the thought of unpredictable? As we go through this course of life, the little snake, he wasn't expecting to hop across the pavement there and get fried, but it was unpredictable. He wasn't able to see ahead, but it's not only unpredictable for you. God's got it all planned out, but not for God. So it's time to move across the pavement into the future that God has prepared for you without cooking yourself. So we want, as we go, we're going to go through this thought of moving through life, not hopping on the pavement, cooking ourselves, but moving a life that's specifically a quest, searching for what God would have us, for the purpose that God has for us in our lives, to honor and glorify Him, and to be I guess I like to say, be a blessing to society. Life is about to become hot. Well, as we go through our study, it'll become hotter, but ultimately it'll be better. And hopefully we'll grab some little gems and some things that we can gain for it to apply to our lives to get through this life. From here to there, safety, and safety in, well, it's a space shuttle. What's a space shuttle have on it as it comes back into the atmosphere? Well, it's got heat shield towels on it, right? So when it comes through and it gets hot, we're going to go through heat. We want to know how do we get through heat serving the Lord, right? We're going to go through some things like that. So anyway, we want to remember that it's worth it. And we'll stop right there. And next week, I have another assignment. So let's take a moment, let's look at some verses and try to find the verses. God, our divine helper. We kind of had some that can kind of double apply, but I'd like to see if you can find a few verses and what you come up with. God is our divine helper. And then you already have in your book, you have, happy is he that the God of Jacob for his help. Or wait, let's read it right here this time. Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help, whose hope is in the Lord his God. So try to find, I'd like to see if you can find out, search out a few verses. And say we might double up, people might have the same ones, but take a look and apply it to your life and realize that God is your helper. If you look to him and put your faith and trust in him. All right? That will close. And I'll ask Jordan, would you please dismiss some prayer, please?
Dear Lord, I thank you for this day you've given us. Just thank you for allowing us to be here, Lord, and to hear your word. Pray, Lord, you guide and direct us throughout the remainder of this day, Lord. Be with our pastor, give him the words to preach, and help us honor and glorify you.
All right.